Vampire Diaries. This is my obsession.
And mine.
And mine.
For 4 seasons, supernatural creatures have taken over our block.
There's vampires, werewolves, doppelgangers, witches,
and even hybrids.
There are those that ship them.
And there are those that stand them. And then there's us, the TumbleCon planners, the podcast ramblers.
Brianna,
Yolanda,
Andrea,
and Lynne.
We are the TV TumbleCon committee. I guess I'll have to say my favorite season is season 3. Because
I'm shocked.
yeah. No, I know, Alaric died, you guys. But we did have a chance to see a lot of his acting talent, which I really appreciated, because a lot of jobs he has doesn't, show any of the talent. Of course, there was a lot of Alaric. I also really liked the progression for Damon and Elena. It showed their progress going from, people who, while they managed to learn to trust each other, they weren't really close. And it sort of showed how they had to bond for their common goal. One of my favorite lines from the entire season is, even in his darkest place, my brother
couldn't let me die.
Yeah, my brother couldn't let me die. That was my...
I also like the line whenever Damon and Elena are in her room, and then he's like, I think, that you're the one that's going to save him. And I'm like...
Yeah, that was good.
Oh my gosh.
That was great.
She's like, I ship Defen. I have no problem with shipping that. Like, I get so many feels and flashbacks.
I know. I loved Damon and Stefan's relationship. Also, I loved Stebecca. I loved it immediately as soon as I found out that it was a thing. So basically, the Alaric, the Delaric, the Delena, the Stebecca, all of that stuff. It was a really good season. I loved that we finally had a real villain, because of course we had the anti-hero thing with Damon, we had Catherine before, and we had the originals in the second season, but we didn't know who they were.
Yeah.
I loved the original flashbacks, and I loved that we were able to find out sort of who they were. And even though they were the bad guys, we were able to find out that they were real people. So I just really loved the progression. I hated, of course, the end of the season because they killed off Alaric, made him a vampire for no reason, killed off a very good villain. Because I could have sworn, I thought he was going to be the big bad for the season. And so I was really upset with the way it was going with that. But we found out a lot about Stefan and Damon's individual pasts, and I just thought it was really good.
Yeah.
So.
Yolanda,
and they balanced this season has been really painful.
Yeah.
And even though season 3 had a lot of sort of angst and sadness and darkness to it, I think they balanced it really well with, giving everybody reasons to be happy and reasons to persevere. So, season 3 is definitely my favorite season.
So, I guess my turn. I guess mine would be season 2. And I think it's because I think it was just a lot of just really great writing. And it had carried the momentum of season 1 straight through to me. I really am a fan of the way that the Vampire Diaries does all the twists and turns, but at the same time, the balance of pace was really well done in season 2 to me. As far as the fact that, okay, you had, Catherine coming in and we got to see all the tension through that. And then after that is that was the werewolves, and you got all the tension coming through that, and then you had Klaus, and it was just lots of stuff happened in season 2. It didn't even seem like one whole season. It seemed like 2 or 3 packed into one, but it just, when you watched it, it didn't feel that rushed to me. So, yeah, I like that, and there was also really good moments like the Catherine and Stefan and Damon and at the masquerade ball. That was really classic. And then you had the Rose part in there. That was really iconic. And then just, I think I liked the fact that Klaus was a mysterious entity more so than when we actually met Klaus. Sorry. Yeah. But I actually was more scared of Klaus before I even met him than when I actually met him. And I actually really liked the fact that, Alaric was possessed, and it just gave this real mysterious quality to it that, I don't know, I don't think season 3 or season 4 has anymore, except maybe with Silas this season. Silas is kind of mysterious. But,
I think it took a lot of the good feedback that they had for the mysterious entrance of Klaus, the way they slowly, it was the suspense that made you scared of him more than anything he'd actually done.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that they carried that over with Silas.
Yeah.
And I think if we've already experienced it, it's not as scary.
Yeah.
But I also, I think it works well with them because we already know so much about the different species and everything. I think it's hard to make us oh wow, how is this gonna? How are they gonna survive this?
So yeah, I think that covers me.
I don't know. I think at the moment, mine changes all the time, but I think at the moment I like season 1 mainly because I don't know. I'm just feeling nostalgic. With everything that's going on, I just like to look back at season 1 and just right when we're getting to know the characters and before a lot of the shit happened, and just the beginning of everybody's relationships. It's just, I don't know, I thought it was well done, and I don't know, I just like looking back at it mainly. So, but I'm really liking season 4 also, but I don't know, I like all the seasons. I mean, season 3 would have been my favorite season, but it was so lopsided. The first half was really good, the second half wasn't. So I can't really say that's my favorite because it was too uneven. If they would have carried out the
I don't feel like it was half and half. I feel like they were reaching to get somewhere they wanted to be by the end of the season, and they hadn't paced it out well enough. So immediately they shoved so much into the last couple episodes. I wouldn't say the last half, but I'd say the last 4 or 5 episodes was really rushed. And as soon as you find out that Alaric is the killer, everything is pushed together, and you're struggling to keep up. So
I just wasn't really interested in any of the things that were happening in the second half of the season. I don't know why. I felt really detached from it. I don't know.
I felt that way a lot about the beginning of season 4. I wasn't really interested in anything that was happening until Jeremy became a hunter, really.
I loved the beginning of season 4.
I really liked, obviously I liked the progression of Damon and Elena's relationship, but I feel like the show has so much more to offer now than the love triangle, and that's all they had at the beginning of this season, and I didn't like it at all.
Well, I actually liked it because of the fact that it wasn't the triangle to me, it was more of Elena's progression into the vampire sphere that captured me, in conjunction with the triangle, yes, but I think just seeing Elena cope, and then also the memorial scene, which was in the earlier season, earlier in the season with Connor and all that was really exciting to me. I really like Connor as a villain, but yeah,
I didn't like Connor, but I liked the tension that he added to the main group because they didn't know what to do with him. But yeah, I think the memorial thing was one of my favorite seasons.
My favorite seasons, I couldn't pick one. I have to pick between season 1 and 3, just because what everyone else has said about the progression and relationships, and then Damon and Elena, and all that stuff. So yeah, those are my favorite seasons. Can't pick one.
Which seasons were you talking about?
I said 1 and 3.
Yeah, okay.
2 is my least favorite. I don't know why. Sorry, yours.
What else?
I have to think, like, with season 3, I liked Elena a lot more. I was indifferent with Elena until she, like, because I felt she was really dependent on her love for Stefan before.
Yeah.
Like, to keep her going, and that's all she had, which wasn't necessarily her fault. But I felt like once she lost Stefan, she had to find other things to hold on to and to make her stronger, and she became a lot
closer
stronger.
to, like, Jeremy, and she got closer to not Catherine, to Caroline and Bonnie again and all that stuff.
Alright, the next question is, what are our favorite episodes? But, well, what's your favorite episode? But I don't think any of us can pick just one. So.
If I had to pick my very favorite, like the one I always come back to is Bloodlines, just because I love it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. That's the only one I could really think that's always on my, like, one of my top favorites, no matter what comes next. So.
Yeah, that's one of mine, and I also really like Blood Brothers. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It just had my favorite relationships, of course, all involving Damon, but it had great Stefan in it, Delana, Delaric. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll take everything. I just thought it was really well told.
I also like 117 with the whole Damon and Lark going on, like, their very, like, first kind of mission thing together.
Yeah, let the right one in. I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love the chemistry between Damon, Elena, and Alaric. Mm-hmm. In that episode, that's definitely one of my favorite episodes because I loved them working as a team. Because to me, that sort of set a huge foundation for a lot of the plot lines later on. Because it showed, I think it showed Damon a lot that he sometimes has to rely on other people and trust other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that set a huge foundation for. Bless you. I think that set the foundation for a lot of pretty much the rest of the series because he's had to learn to work with Elena and Stefan and trust them and their judgment too. But I think if I had to pick just one episode overall that was my favorite, it would have to be 317. Specifically because one of my favorite things about watching a TV show is that I can, like, follow along, and I like to guess what's going to happen next and come up with theories and things. And I think 317, when we found out that Alaric was the one killing everybody, I was so surprised. I had no idea. And I really like it when a show takes me by surprise. And I thought it was really well written. Mm-hmm. And it sort of, it was the turning point from, like, in the pace of the season, and I didn't like it. I didn't like so much of the season afterwards. I think that it was a really good point to bring a lot of the storylines together into one and connect everything that was going on. I think they had a lot of good scenes. So.
Let's see. My favorite one would have to be, and this is the only one that I keep coming back to just for the sheer performance of the actors, is As I Lay Dying in season 2, the last one. Yeah, it's really. I'm a real fan of angst, so. I had to go to the one where Damon's dying, but I just think it was just phenomenal the way, like, I mean, I know everybody knew that Damon wasn't going to die. It wasn't really the suspense, really, but it was just the way that the relationships kind of were put into the forefront. Yeah, that too, yeah. It was all, like, out there. You know, when there's death, just like with this Jeremy situation now, when there's death on the brink of everything, it really just pulls out the meat of every relationship in the show. And I think that was done well with this, with the kind of flashbacks and the psychosis that Damon was experiencing. That was really well done, and just how it all interconnected with the present, with his relationship with Rick, with his relationship with Stefan, and Elena at the end, that kiss at the end. It was just really, really, like, all the subtleties in that episode.
I was
really
never
done.
expecting for Catherine to actually come with the cure. I thought she would have left.
Yeah, me too.
I wasn't expecting that at all.
Mm-hmm. Me
so you
too.
would have brought out a bit of her, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we learned a lot about her.
And just Stefan's, like, drive, though. Like, that was impressive to me. It was just so heartbreaking and tragic, but so, like, oh my gosh, Stefan will do anything for Damon.
Yeah. And I think that's a huge turning point for a lot of people, too, because for so long, especially in the first few seasons, he had been like, there's no good left in me.
Yeah.
That whole viewpoint. And then you saw that even if he thinks that there's nothing good in him, that he wants
to still his brother at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he still knows that it's his brother, and he wants Damon to have a chance to be better.
Right.
You know, so I thought that was really cool.
Right.
Like the silent I love you in last episode.
Ah, yes. Yes.
Heartbreaking. I was like, oh, Stefan.
Yeah.
So many reasons that episode.
That was just, I loved it.
I have to say that's one of my favorite episodes this season. I know it's totally horrible.
Yeah, me too. It was one of my favorites. It was just, when that happens, when someone dies or someone is dying, it's just like these actors and actresses just, they just eat it up. It's just so awesome.
Rev was phenomenal.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god, her eyes looked so dead, and I was like, oh my gosh.
It was amazing.
And it's like, okay, they were focusing on Nina, but to create the environment,
yeah,
their reactions were so real too. Caroline and Stefan were frightened.
Yeah.
They were scared about what was going to happen. They were, and it was really good.
And just the way it was written, the way that they brought all of that grief, because like I was saying, I don't remember if I said this before, but Elena feels everyone's grief, and then she also feels her own. And so with that heightened and with that going on at that one moment, and she just brought it out in that writing and in the way that was delivered, just bring out Jenna and John and Alaric and having all that grief in one room, and you could just feel it. It was just really, really well done.
Mm-hmm. But I feel really nostalgic now.
Yeah. Vampire Diaries is so awesome.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because so many of the other fandom committees say how brave we are for taking on the show, because they've heard about how ridiculously painful it can be, and it is. But it's also so much you learn so much about the growth and different ways to cope,
mm-hmm.
and that there's, to me, the main thing about the whole show is strength.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That no matter what happens, there's a way to persevere through it.
You're the Vampire Diaries committee?